So that's boxing at its finest right there. You heard it. They said it. Make that bad. Everything on the line. You know, that's old school right there. That's everything on the line.
Y'all getting the last little bit of Gervonta that y'all gonna see. I'm gonna make sure I do what I'm supposed to so I can be the best I can. Me and the stuff that I've been through in my past and the trouble and things like that, and don't want to keep saying, but my mom and dad was on drugs and things like that. I fought mad times in the streets and the gym. Just to see that I'm at this level and see that it's possible. You know what I mean? Everything I dreamed of is actually coming true. All this is paying off. That's another reason why I have to win this fight. People close to me, people that's coming up behind me. I feel as though Manny want to show them that anything is possible. You know what I mean? No matter where you come from.
View this video before it gets taken down. Because what we're about to uncover isn't just a boxing story, it's allegedly a power struggle hiding in plain sight. And the moment you connect these dots, you will never watch Gervonta Davis the same way again. So buckle up, because we're starting with the thing nobody wants to say out loud.
At this moment, the time a newly released boxing coach and a kid from the streets spent together gains extra meaning. Both sought to redefine their story. The first steps taken toward today.
They might got me back in the kitchen again.
You know, Calvin, he been with me since I was 7. I used to sleep in Coach Calvin's house. I used to sleep at his job when he was working at a seafood restaurant in Baltimore.
When I had to train Tank, when I didn't want him to get in trouble and I wanted to make sure we was together, I used to take him to work with me. He'd chill. Everybody know him. Everybody know him at work.
Remember, Calvin used to fuss at the guys that was coming up with me, and they was in the streets a lot. He was telling them, you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You gotta be, all the way in it. Focus on the goal, you know, and them guys, they went left. And, unfortunately...
Tank Davis, one of the most dangerous fighters on the planet, reportedly walked away from the sport not because he was finished, but allegedly because the sport was finished with giving him the fights that actually mattered. And that right there, that's the first twist. Because every headline told you Tank was the problem, the chaos, the liability. But what if? And stay with me. What if Tank was the only one asking the right questions while everyone else was collecting checks? Because here's what the timeline allegedly shows.
Oh, it's up like that. Do you want him to go to jail or you want him to live? That's the whole idea. To come to the boxing gym.
If I ain't had the people I had around me, the people that started with me and things like that, I probably would have been off the scene for a long time. You know, I think that the people that I started with really keep me sane and keep me focused, because it's not just me that's fighting this battle, it's people that's with me, you know what I mean, that's walking with me day in and day out. What up, man?
We're gonna give you a piece.
Peace?
Just a piece, yeah?
All right, back.
Just take a piece. Get the rest of your main man.
Is, man.
Yeah, just a little piece.
I'm gonna eat the whole thing.
Yo, we cleaned the plates with them, Jordan.
Okay.
It's banging, right?
Yeah, it don't taste too bad, man. Not bad.
They don't taste too bad, man.
You gonna eat the whole thing, right?
You know what I'm saying?
The moment Tank started talking seriously about Shakur Stevenson, the moment those conversations entered the room, doors started closing, schedules got complicated, promoters got mysteriously busy, and fans are saying online that it wasn't coincidence. It was calculated.
That lawnmower, that's that.
I don't want to lose. I hate losing. I know Tank hate losing. Lamont damn sure don't want to lose, so it's gonna make for a good fight, man.
Speculation. And now we're already 3 layers deep, and we haven't even gotten to Calvin Ford yet. Because Calvin Ford is where this story gets dangerous. Not dangerous in a bad way, dangerous in a this changes everything way. Because reportedly Tank's return to his longtime trainer isn't just a feel-good reunion story the way the press is selling it.
The whole world will be watching this
Oh, yeah.
Big stage, record audience, millions watching. For Tank, this is nothing new. But it's not exactly the same either, because he's never had such a treacherous opponent to prepare for.
Yeah, definitely jet lag, man. Felt my legs were a little tired, everything was tired, you know, and even when you don't want to work, you gotta work, you know what I mean? So definitely saying Ron today definitely gave me juice to get in there, because maybe or maybe he not, but 9 out of 10, he ain't go to the gym today, so I'm definitely
Allegedly, it represents Tank stripping away every single person who benefited from his chaos and choosing the one man who never did. And if that doesn't send a chill down your spine, then wait, because sources close to the camp. And I want to be careful here because this is all speculation and online chatter.
See some speed. You're like, yo, where the coming from? They're coming from different angles I ain't never seen.
some fighters they good at what they do. Like they master at what they do, but they not complete fighters.
He has the eye for that. He knows when a fighter's weakening. He knows when a fighter is starting to tire. He can, he'll listen to their breathing. He can see certain signs to when he has to turn it up, and that's when it turns him up. That's when he steps on the gas pedal. Tank is a scary ass fighter because he can turn it up at any moment. Not many fighters can do that. Not turn it up.
Are allegedly suggesting that this training camp is unlike anything Tank has done before. We're talking a level of discipline and structure that his previous camps apparently never reached. And now you have to ask yourself, why now? Why this fight? Why this version of Tank is showing up at this exact moment? And the answer, according to boxing insiders and fan speculation, is Shakur Stevenson.
One of the greatest rounds of the fight. He has explosive combinations. They're quick, they're fast, they're accurate. He can be first. He likes to be second. He likes to be a counterpuncher. He likes his guys to open up. Again, I told you, he likes guys that make mistakes because he likes to feel those openings. Tank is scary, man. He's scary. Where is Tank? I feel Tank can be exposed when a guy is resolute. When he can't hurt you. It does something to him psychologically. Now, it won't stop him from trying to knock you out, but I can tell it does something to him psychologically when he hits you and you don't go anywhere. Tank is probably one of the most complete fighters.
Because Shakur is allegedly the one opponent who cannot be solved by power alone. And Tank knows it, Calvin knows it, and reportedly everybody in that gym knows it. Which means for the first time in years, we may be watching a fighter train not to win, but to evolve. And that distinction, that is enormous. Because a fighter training to win makes mistakes born from confidence, but a fighter training to evolve makes adjustments born from hunger. And hunger in Tank Davis allegedly looks like a man rearranging his entire life. And this is where Timothy...
Happy Tank coming back. Tank's excited. All the guys are excited, but Tank is always a big question mark when Tank get in the ring. Is somebody about to get knocked the fuck out? You know what I mean? I just hope it's a good guy. But I can't say I'm happy to see Tank putting a foot forward, at least get back in the ring. I think he catapulted that kid, Scooter Davis's career, just from being in camp with him. He was in camp and did a couple of videos with him. And next thing you know, everybody paying attention to him fight. I think he fought on the Matchroom card, stopped somebody, and then next thing you know, he signed.
Bradley enters the conversation and says something that stopped me cold. Because Bradley apparently described Tank as nocturnal. A fighter who sits in the dark, gathers information, feels the rhythm, and then detonates at the exact moment his opponent exhales. And if that framing is accurate, then the Stevenson matchup isn't a power versus skill debate.
Talking about the fight for about a week and how great he is, and after that, it went right back into nobody talking about Shakur. Because Shakur Stevenson he's just not a big star. But he can be a big star if he fights somebody like Gervonta Davis. That's the ticket for him right there. Is the fight between him and the guy that's the most popular guy in that weight class, or anybody.
It's allegedly a patience contest wearing a bomb vest. And the question becomes not whether Tank can hurt Shakur, but whether Shakur can stay disciplined long enough to avoid the one moment where Tank decides the data collection is over. And this is where the narrative flips for the first time. Because everyone has been framing this as Shakur's puzzle to solve. Shakur's geometry versus Tank's thunder. And yet reportedly the fighters who've been in the gym with both men are suggesting privately. Again, all online speculation. That Tank's mid-range game is significantly more developed than his public highlights suggest. That there's a counter-punching layer to his arsenal that hasn't been fully televised. And if that's true, then Shakur may be walking into a technical fight that Tank has been quietly preparing for while everyone assumed he was just loading the cannon and breaking. Because we have to pause here. Because reports are now circulating, allegedly, that contract discussions for this fight have hit another wall, another delay, another round of scheduling conflicts that fans are describing online as anything but accidental. And the conspiracy theory spreading across boxing Twitter is that powerful people on both sides have too much to lose if this fight happens cleanly. Because if Shakur wins, he becomes a mainstream superstar overnight, and suddenly he's harder to control, harder to steer toward the softer paydays. And if Tank wins, then the era of pretending technical fighters are untouchable by elite power officially ends, and either outcome reshapes the economic landscape of the sport, which Greg Hackett. And this analysis is sharp, reportedly argues is exactly why Tank's presence in any weight class raises the entire competitive temperature, not just for his opponents, but for the business itself, because Tank allegedly doesn't just fight people, he forces conversations that the sport has been successfully avoiding. And now we're entering the part of the story where the boxing politics allegedly get so tangled that even the people inside it can't fully explain it, because the rumored Davis-Stevenson matchup has apparently been close to happening multiple times, and each time something. A contract clause, a promotional dispute, a network preference, a purse disagreement, has allegedly intervened at exactly the right moment to prevent it. And fans are connecting these dots and arriving at a conclusion that nobody in the industry wants to confirm, which is that this fight is being protected from itself. That the sheer size of what it would create is terrifying to people who profit from things staying manageable and predictable. And here's the punchline that nobody's saying: boxing has allegedly been overthinking itself out of greatness for decades. And the Davis-Stevenson situation is reportedly just the latest and most visible example of a sport that keeps scheduling the second-best version of every story it could be telling. And this is where Tank's framing of the fight as a legacy moment becomes not just personal, but almost political. Because allegedly when Tank talks about his upbringing, about Baltimore, about survival and possibility, he's not giving a press conference answer. He's reportedly laying out the terms of a fight that means something beyond the scorecards. And the idea that a victory over Shakur Stevenson would represent possibility for people coming up behind him. That framing, if genuine, allegedly transforms this from a sporting event into something closer to a statement. And statements make powerful people nervous. And nervous, powerful people allegedly make fights disappear. And now we've arrived at the final twist, and I need you to brace yourself, because this completely reframes everything we just discussed. What if the delay isn't hurting Tank? What if the delay is allegedly making him more dangerous? What if every month this fight doesn't happen? Tank gets sharper, more patient, more structured, more evolved, while the narrative around him continues to soften expectations. And by the time the contract finally gets signed, if it gets signed, Tank walks in as something the sport hasn't fully prepared for. Not the old Tank who detonated on instinct, but allegedly a Tank who detonated on strategy, and Shakur Stevenson, elite technician that he unquestionably is, may have been preparing for the wrong version of the man across the ring. So the question you need to sit with, the one that should follow you into the comments right now, is this: is the delay in making this fight the biggest mistake boxing has ever made? Or is it accidentally building the most dangerous version of Gervonta Davis the sport has ever seen? And does Shakur's precision survive that?